going on, Jerome's? So, yes, the draft is a draft. But first, you got to take care of your guys. You got to go through free agency. And the Vikings, they got a couple of shekels to spend. So now, Spot Rack estimates the Vikings at around $30 million in cap space. Over the cap, which is displayed here, estimates them at just shy of $25 million. Either way, they're about middle of the pack, 15th in the league in terms of cap space. Commies lead the way with $73 million. Tennessee Titans, number 2 with $68 million. But, of course, down at the bottom, so you got the Saints at $83 million in the hole, Dolphins at $51, Bills at $51, Chargers at $45, blah, 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 blah. But, of course, there's always ways to get around things, although the Saints may be effed because they have a ton of dead cap space, but we shall see what happens. Now, long way of getting into, so Kevin Seifert, who's not Carl Gerbschmidt. Now, I know sometimes we get questions like, well, why do you rail against the media, whether national media, jabroni haircuts, or the local Smokies sometimes? Because I respect the work that they do, but when they're incorrect or running with giving the wrong impression of a situation, I think that it's important to point out because the media still matters. And, well, people don't read articles anymore. But if a media person puts out a tweet or does a radio hit or says something on TV, Tom, Dick, and Harry, like the average Joe 12-pack fan, sees that, and that's the impression that they get. All right, so the tone and tenor does matter. And down at the dive bar, Ole's like, that the Vikings are banged in the pooper when it comes to the salary cap, which is not the case at all. The Vikings are in their best salary cap situation in the last couple of years, and next year will get even better. But Seifert, so Jason over the cap, put out a list of void year dead cap hits, right? And the Vikings have like 3 of the top 6, with Kirko, Danielle, and Marcus Davenport. Now, Rob Thuglife Brzezinski hadn't really used void years in previous instances, but they've been using them in the last couple of years, notably starting with Anthony Barr. But they've been doing it smart. They've been doing it smart where, yes, they are borrowing for the future, but remember, like we said, the cap keeps going up and up and up, especially with the new TV and gambling deals, and there is no interest, and they've done it in a smart fashion as opposed to what the hell the Saints and the Bills have done. But Seifert response here. Good stuff here as always. I suggest taking a deep breath before you look and see how much dead money the departures of Cousins, Danielle, and Marcus Davenport would create for the Vikings. Oh, deep breath. Oh, load it. I got the vapors. And again, everyone takes in their information in bite-sized bits, so just reading that, you think it's like, oh, the Vikings are boned. The Vikings are effed. It's like, yeah, they have around $50 million in void year dead cap hits from Cousins, Danielle, and Davenport, but with Kirk and Danielle, they only stay at their $28.5 and $14 million and change, respectively, if they're not re-signed. And even with that $50 million dead for those 3 players, because you're not bringing Davenport back, the Vikings still have $25 million in cap space. Now, how quickly we forget, last offseason, this same time last year, the Vikings were $24 million over the salary cap. And yeah, Kwesi gets a lot of crap from fans, but the way that he and Brzezinski have managed the salary cap should not be one of them, because the Vikings, last year they had to make some tough decisions. They cut Adam Thielen. They cut Eric Kendricks. They let Patrick Peterson go. And also they had Harrison Smith take a massive pay cut. They cut Dalvin Cook. So, yes, some of those decisions were tough. Because some of those guys probably still had some decent football left in them. Thielen probably could have contributed last year, especially after JJ got hurt, but it is what it is, and you have to applaud Kwesi for making the unpopular decisions and getting rid of some of those bad Spielman contracts, and that's exactly why the Vikings are in relatively good cap shape right now, and going to the future, it'll be even better. So right now the Vikings are estimated, again, this is over the cap. Spot Rack has them around 30, around just shy of $25 million in cap space. That goes up to 140. Yes, that includes the rollover of the 25, which is obviously going to be used up, but there you go. Now, this is a completely rudimentary exercise of what's going to go on, because we're actually going to leave Cousins. Say that Cousins leaves, say that Danielle Hunter leaves. So their void year dead cap numbers, full freight at 28.5 and 14.9 respectively, stay on the books. Because remember, $50 million dead from Cousins, Hunter, and Davenport, and the Vikings still the Vikings still have $25 million in cap space. Now, a couple very easy maneuvers. So a simple restructure. Brian O'Neill, $14.4 million. Now, restructures are kicking the can down the road. So you basically take the base salary, if it's a high number, scale all the way down to the league minimum, and then prorate that out over a number of years as a roster bonus, right? And you only want to do that with players that you see sticking around for the foreseeable future. And Brian O'Neill gets a little bit dicey. He is 29. So we'll see. And then you have Harrison Smith, who is probably going to get cut. So let's do that. So a classic restructure of O'Neill. Again, very conservative, very realistic options here. So submit that, pare that thing all the way down. So all of a sudden, that 24 goes up to almost 34. Then cutting Harrison Smith. So you could cut him post June 1st, and that would have even more cap savings. But let's cut him pre-June 1st. So that all of a sudden goes from 34 to 45 because you're saving $11 million in change if Harrison is either cut or retires. And then Hockenson, just off of his new extension, he's due a $9.9 million base salary. You could do a restructure of him because obviously he's going to be part of the fold long term, and hopefully that knee is good to go. But restructuring him, a classic restructure, take that thing all the way up to $52.6 million. Now, again, if Cousins or Danielle resign, depending on how they layer that the new contracts, the cap numbers for them could go down, even with an influx of new money on both of their deals. And you would still have the 28.5 and 14.9 dead at some point, but it becomes prorated. And also, I mean, Jefferson's on his fifth-year option. Jefferson is due $19.743 million, so that is a big chunk. And again, rudimentary back of the envelope map here. We are going to extend Justin Jefferson. Let's say it's a as I die here. Is that you, Rona? All right, so we are going to say we're going to say Jefferson gets $35 million per year on a 4-year extension. So 4 years, $140 million, and just for ease of math, zoom in and enhance. So 35. Again, this is the most basic rudimentary math, so don't worry about it. So 35. And also what we're going to do is we're going to pare down his base salary this year. He's still going to get every single dollar that he's owed, and it's a true extension, 4 years, 2025 through 2028. But what we're going to do is we're going to take his base salary and restructure it. So we're going to pare it down, again, just for ease of math for the numbers. We'll take it down to 1.743, nope. 1.743 million. There you go. That would have an $18 million signing bonus. So that would be prorated. There you go. So transact, zoom in and enhance. So taking him down from again, Jefferson is extended. He's good to go. And also no void years were used in that contract. So he gets his 4-year, $140 million deal, $35 million per, the highest paid receiver in NFL history. And you convert his base salary this year, his 5th-year option, into a roster bonus. And you go from $19.743 million down to $5.3. All of a sudden, you got $67 million in cap space, up from 20, just shy of 24. So effectively, again, very conservative, very realistic moves of extending JJ, restructuring O'Neill and Hockenson, and cutting or Harrison Smith retiring, and all of a sudden you free up 40 or just north of 40 million in cap space. And that's not even including if you do anything with Cousins or Danielle. And that also doesn't include, hey, maybe the Vikings cut Garrett Bradbury. Maybe they cut Alexander Madison. They're definitely going to cut Dean Lowry's ass. Actually, let's just cut Lowry. Could we get to 69? Nice. Oh, we did it. 69. Nice. We did it, baby. So, again, just a handful of very realistic salary cap moves. I trust Brzezinski in this spot. I trust Kwesi. I think he's made some good decisions when it comes to the salary cap. I got tons of respect for Kevin Seifert, who is not Carl Gerbschmidt, but, I mean, the sky's not falling, man. When it comes to the salary cap, the Vikings are in much better salary cap shape than they were last year. They took their lumps, and they're good to go. So they will be fine. They will be absolutely fine going forward. But your thoughts are thoughts. Take a look at the Vikings salary cap. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. While support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.